I think I need to move to like a state that doesn't rain so much. What states that don't?
Chapter 20. Jonathan helps David. David now fled from Naioth in Ramah and found Jonathan. "What have I done?" he exclaimed. "What is my crime? How have I offended your father that he is so determined to kill me?" "That's not true," Jonathan protested.
What is that noise?
"You're not going to die. He always tells me everything he's going to do, even the little things. I know my father wouldn't hide something like this from me. It just isn't so." Then David took an oath before Jonathan and said, "Your father knows perfectly well about our friendship, so he has said to himself, 'I won't tell Jonathan. Why should I hurt him?' But I swear to you that I am only a step away from death. I swear it by the Lord and by your own soul." "Tell me what I can do to help you," Jonathan exclaimed. David replied, "Tomorrow we celebrate the New Moon Festival. I've always eaten with the king on this occasion, but tomorrow I'll hide in the field and stay there until the evening of the third day. If your father asks where I am, tell him I asked permission to go home to Bethlehem for an annual family sacrifice. If he says, 'Fine,' you will know all is well. But if he is angry and loses his temper, you will know he is determined to kill me. Show me this loyalty as my sworn friend, for we made a solemn pact before the Lord. Or kill me yourself if I have sinned against your father, but please don't betray me to him." "Never," Jonathan exclaimed. "You know that if I had the slightest notion my father was planning to kill you, I would tell you at once." Then David asked, "How will I know whether or not your father is angry?" "Come out to the field with me," Jonathan replied, and they went out there together. Then Jonathan told David, "I promise by the Lord, the God of Israel, that by this time tomorrow, or the next day at the latest, I will talk to my father and let you know at once how he feels about you. If he speaks favorably about you, I will let you know. But if he is angry and wants you killed, may the Lord strike me and even kill me if I don't warn you so you can escape and live. May the Lord be with you as he used to be with my father. And may you treat me with the faithful love of the Lord as long as I live. But if I die, treat my family with this faithful love, even when the Lord destroys all your enemies from the face of the earth." So Jonathan made a solemn pact with David, saying, "May the Lord destroy all your enemies." And Jonathan made David reaffirm his vow of friendship again, for Jonathan loved David as he loved himself. Then Jonathan said, "Tomorrow we celebrate the New Moon Festival. You will be missed when your place at the table is empty. The day after tomorrow, toward evening, go to the place where you hid before and wait there by the stone pile. I will come out and shoot 3 arrows to the side of the stone pile as though I were shooting at a target. Then I will send a boy to bring the arrows back. If you hear me tell him, 'They're on this side,' then you will know, as surely as the Lord lives, that all is well and there is no trouble. But if I tell him, 'Go farther, the arrows are still ahead of you,' then it will mean that you must leave immediately, for the Lord is sending you away. And may the Lord make us keep our promises to each other, for he has witnessed them." So David hid himself in the field, and when the New Moon Festival began, the king sat down to eat. He sat at his usual place against the wall, with Jonathan sitting opposite him and Abner beside him. But David's place was empty. Saul didn't say anything about it that day, for he said to himself, "Something must have made David ceremonially unclean." But when David's place was empty again the next day, Saul asked Jonathan, "Why hasn't the son of Jesse been here for the meal either yesterday or today?" Jonathan replied, "David earnestly asked me if he could go to Bethlehem. He said, 'Please let me go, for we are having a family sacrifice. My brother demanded that I be there, so please let me get away to see my brothers. That's why he isn't here at the king's table.'" Saul boiled with rage at Jonathan. "You stupid son of a whore," he swore at him. "Do you think I don't know that you want him to be king in your place, shaming yourself and your mother? As long as that son of Jesse is alive, you'll never be king. Now go and get him so I can kill him." "But why should he be put to death?" Jonathan asked his father. "What has he done?" Then Saul hurled his spear at Jonathan, intending to kill him. So at last Jonathan realized that his father was really determined to kill David. Jonathan left the table in fierce anger and refused to eat on that second day of the festival, for he was crushed by his father's shameful behavior toward David. The next morning, as agreed, Jonathan went out into the field and took a young boy with him to gather his arrows. "Start running," he told the boy, "so you can find the arrows as I shoot them." So the boy ran, and Jonathan shot an arrow beyond him. When the boy had almost reached the arrow, Jonathan shouted, "The arrow is still ahead of you! Hurry! Hurry, don't wait!" So the boy quickly gathered up the arrows and ran back to his master. He, of course, suspected nothing. Only Jonathan and David understood the signal. Then Jonathan gave his bow and arrows to the boy and told him to take them back to town. As soon as the boy was gone, David came out from where he had been hiding near the stone pile. Then David bowed 3 times to Jonathan with his face to the ground. Both of them were in tears as they embraced each other and said goodbye, especially David. At last, Jonathan said to David, "Go in peace, for we have sworn loyalty to each other in the Lord's name. The Lord is the witness of a bond between us and our children forever." Then David left, and Jonathan returned to the town. Chapter
Where's Samuel 20? So the friendship of David and Jonathan challenged is to face Saul's jealousy. Verse Samuel 20:42. Jonathan said to David, "Go in peace, for we have sworn, both of us, in the name of the Lord, saying, 'The Lord shall be between me and you, and between my offspring and your offspring forever.'" And he rose and departed, and Jonathan went into the city. So in this verse, Jonathan and David reaffirmed their deep friendship and made a covenant in the name of the Lord. And they promised that their bond would attend to their future generations as well as afterward. David departs while Jonathan returns to the city. This verse highlights the beauty and strength of true friendship grounded in shared commitment to God. It shows that loyalty and trust between Jonathan and David as they prioritize their covenant and the Lord's presence in their relationship. Practically, we can apply this lesson by valuing and nurturing friendships, especially those built on a foundation of faith, in which you strive to be loyal, trustworthy, and supportive, just as Jonathan and David were to each other. This verse also reminds us of the importance of making commitments to one another, honoring those commitments, and seeking God's guidance in our relationships. 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 23, "And as for the matter of which you and I have spoken, behold, the Lord is between you and me forever." In this verse, Jonathan assures David that their secret plan to assist Saul's intentions and protect David's life is known only to them, and he affirms that the Lord is witness to their agreement and that their friendship will endure forever. In this application, the verse teaches us the significance of trusting confidently in our relationships. It highlights the importance of keeping our promises and maintaining the confidently of sensitive information shared with us. Practically, we can apply this lesson by cultivating trust in our friendships and respecting the privacy of others. We should honor the trust placed in us and ensure that we are reliable and discreet in our interactions. This verse also reminds us of the Lord's presence in our relationships, encouraging us to seek His guidance and wisdom as we navigate the complexities of human connections. 1 Samuel chapter 20 showcased the deep friendship between Jonathan and David, characterized by loyalty, trust, and a shared commitment to God. It teaches us the importance of valuing and nurturing our friendships, making and honoring commitments, maintaining trust, and confidently. May we emulate the qualities of true friendship and seek God's guidance in our relationships. So I'm not really sitting in a freaking house a whole week just because it's raining. So it'll be 21.
21. David runs from Saul. David went to the town of Nob to see Ahimelech the priest. Ahimelech trembled when he saw him. "Why are you alone?" he asked. "Why is no one with you?" "The king has sent me on a private matter," David said. "He told me not to tell anyone why I am here. I have told my men where to meet me later. Now, what is there to eat? Give me 5 loaves of bread or anything else you have." "We don't have any regular bread," the priest replied, "but there is the holy bread, which you can have if your young men have not slept with any women recently." "Don't worry," David replied. "I never allow my men to be with women when they are on a campaign, and since they stay clean even on ordinary trips, how much more on this one?" Since there was no other food available, the priest gave him the holy bread, the bread of the presence that was placed before the Lord in the tabernacle. It had just been replaced that day with fresh bread. Now Doeg the Edomite, Saul's chief herdsman, was there that day, having been detained before the Lord. David asked Ahimelech, "Do you have a spear or sword?" "The king's business was so urgent that I didn't even have time to grab a weapon." "I only have the sword of Goliath, the Philistine, whom you killed in the valley of Elah," the priest replied. "It is wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. Take that if you want it, for there is nothing else here." "There is nothing like it," David replied. "Give it to me." So David escaped from Saul and went to King Achish of Gath. But the officers of Achish were unhappy about his being there. "Isn't this David, the king of the land?" they asked. "Isn't he the one the people honor with dances, singing, 'Saul has killed his thousands and David his 10,000s'?" David heard these comments and was very afraid of what King Achish of Gath might do to him. So he pretended to be insane, scratching on doors and drooling down his beard. Finally, King Achish said to his men, "Must you bring me a madman? We already have enough of them around here. Why should I let someone like this be my guest?"
So which one is it? Also, 1 Samuel chapter 21, which recounts David's escape from Saul and his encounter with the image priest. 1 Samuel 21, verse 6. So the priest gave him the holy bread, for there was no bread there but the bread of the presence, which is removed from before the Lord, to be replaced by hot bread on the day it is taken away. In this verse, David, who was fleeing from Saul requests bread from Imaniach the priest, although the bread of the presence was typically reserved for the priests. Amalek gives David the consecrated bread to sustain him on his journey. This verse highlights the compassion and generosity of Amalek the priest, who prioritized meeting David's immediate physical need over strict adherence to ceremonial regulations. Teaches us the importance of attending kindness and practical help to others, even if it means dividend for certain rules or traditions. Practically, we can apply this lesson by having a heart of compassion and being willing to assist those in need, even if it means stepping outside our comfort zones or bending certain rules. It reminds us of the greater value of showing love and meeting and the pressing needs of others. 1 Samuel 21, verse 12-13, and David took these words to heart and was much afraid of Uzziah and the king of Gam. So he changed his behavior before them and pretended to be insane in their hands and made marks on the doors of the gate and let his spear run down his beard. In these verses, David, fearing for his life, pretends to be insane to avoid harm from the Philistine king Uzziah. He asks in an unconventional and particular manner by making marks on the doors and allowing his spit to run down his beard. This verse showcases David's resourcefulness and quick thinking in a dangerous situation. It reminds us that sometimes we need to employ unconventional means or strategies to protect ourselves or navigate challenging circumstances. Practically, we can apply this lesson by being adaptable and creative in our problem-solving approaches. I just dropped it everywhere. Practically, we can, when faced with difficult situations, we can seek wisdom from God, use our God-given abilities to find ways to safeguard ourselves or others. This verse encourages us to be realistic and open-minded and willing to think outside the box when necessary. So it should be like 1 Samuel 22 is the third.
Chapter 22. David at the cave of Adullam. So David left Gath and escaped to the cave of Adullam. Soon his brothers and all his other relatives joined him there. Then others began coming, men who were in trouble or in debt or who were just discontented, until David was the captain of about 400 men. Later, David went to Mizpah in Moab, where he asked the king, "Please allow my father and mother to live here with you until I know what God is going to do for me." So David's parents stayed in Moab with the king during the entire time David was living in his stronghold. One day the prophet Gad told David, "Leave the stronghold and return to the land of Judah." So David went to the forest of Hereth. The news of his arrival in Judah soon reached Saul. At the time the king was sitting beneath the tamarisk tree on the hill at Gibeah, holding his spear and surrounded by his officers. Listen here, you men of Benjamin, Saul shouted to his officers when he heard the news. Has that son of Jesse promised every one of you fields and vineyards? Has he promised to make you all generals and captains in his army? Is that why you have conspired against me? For not one of you told me when my own son made a solemn pact with the son of Jesse. You're not even sorry for me. Think of it, my own son encouraging him to kill me, as he is trying to do this very day. Then Doeg the Edomite, who was standing there with Saul's men, spoke up. When I was at Nob, he said, I saw the son of Jesse talking to the priest Ahimelech, son of Ahitub. Ahimelech consulted the Lord for him. Then he gave him food and the sword of Goliath the Philistine. The slaughter of the priests. King Saul immediately sent for Ahimelech and all his family who served as priests at Nob. When they arrived, Saul shouted at him, Listen to me, you son of Ahitub. What is it, my king? Ahimelech asked. Why have you and the son of Jesse conspired against me? Saul demanded. Why did you give him food and a sword? Why have you consulted God for him? Why have you encouraged him to kill me as he is trying to do this very day? But, sir, Ahimelech replied, is anyone among all your servants as faithful as David, your son-in-law? Why, he is the captain of your bodyguard and a highly honored member of your household. This was certainly not the first time I had consulted God for him. May the king not accuse me and my family in this matter, for I knew nothing at all of any plot against you. You will surely die, Ahimelech, along with your entire family, the king shouted, and he ordered his bodyguards, Kill these priests of the Lord, for they are allies and conspirators with David. They knew he was running away from me, but they didn't tell me. But Saul's men refused to kill the Lord's priests. Then the king said to Doeg, You do it. So Doeg the Edomite turned on them and killed them that day, 85 priests in all, still wearing their priestly garments. Then he went to Nob, the town of the priests, and killed the priests' families, men and women, children and babies, and all the cattle, donkeys, sheep, and goats. Only Abiathar, one of the sons of Ahimelech, escaped and fled to David. When he told David that Saul had killed the priests of the Lord, David exclaimed, I knew it. When I saw Doeg the Edomite there that day, I knew he was sure to tell Saul, Now I have caused the death of all your father's family. Stay here with me and don't be afraid. I will protect you with my own life, for the same person wants to kill us both.
First Samuel chapter 22, which recounts David's time of erection calf in the cave of Adullam in his erection with his family and followers. First Samuel 22, verse 2, And everyone who was in distress, and everyone who was in debt, and everyone who was bitter in soul gathered to him, and he became commander over them. And there were with him about 400 men. In this verse, David, fleeing from Saul's pursuit, finds himself in the cave of Adullam. Over time, people who were in distress, debt, or discontented with their lives gathered to him, and David becomes their commander, leading a group of about 400 men. This verse demonstrates the way God can use unlikely circumstances to bring together a community of people with shared experiences and struggles. It teaches us the importance of finding strength and support in times of distress and fostering unity among those facing similar challenges. Practically, we can apply this lesson by recognizing the value of community and reaching out to support and uplift one another. We should be willing to offer help and find solutions and share the experiences of others. This verse encourages us to embrace the power of unity and solidarity, even in the midst of difficult circumstances. 1 Samuel 22, verse 23. Stay with me and do not be afraid, for he who seeks my life seeks your life with me, and you shall be in safekeeping. Context in this verse, David assures Abiathar, the son of Amiah, the priest, of his protection and safety. David recognizes that Saul's pursuit is not only targeted at him, but also at those associated with him. And he offers Abiathar a place of safety and refuge. This verse phrases the importance of providing support and protection to those who are in danger or facing persecution. It reminds us of the responsibility we have to care for and safeguard one another, especially in times of adversity. Practically, we can apply this lesson by being attentive to the needs of others and offering assistance and refuge. When they are in danger or facing difficulty, we should strive to create an environment of safety and support, extending a helping hand to those who need it. This verse encourages us to be a source of strength and protection for others, just as David was every year. Don't know how to say the name. 1 Samuel chapter 22 reveals David getting gathering of a community of people in distress in his role as their commander. It teaches us the importance of finding strength and support in community, as well as offering protection and refuge to those in need. May we learn from this example and seek to foster unity, intense support, and provide safety for others in their own lives.